Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Ask Me Anything. My name is Nasos Kladakis. I'm a product manager for the Microsoft Identity and Network Access product group for many, many years. And I'm here with a number of experts that will let them introduce themselves shortly to answer any question you might have for the brand new Microsoft Entra Suite. Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark Wall. I'm a product architect for Microsoft Entra. I'm joined today by many of my colleagues. Martin?
Hi, everyone. My name is Martin Kutzer. I'm a program manager in the Identity and Access team, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions. Jeff?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Casimir. I'm also a product manager in our IDNA CAT team, focused on identity governance. Very excited to answer your questions today.
Awesome. Thank you and good morning. And my name is Jeevan Best. I'm a PM in the Microsoft Security team, focused on the global secure access, and very excited to be here this morning.
Amazing. Thank you all. And please use this time in the best way you think, and have these questions coming, and we will answer them. So I see our first question, and I think that is for Jeevan. Jeevan, I wonder if you can tell us how traffic forwarding works that attaches to a user account, and how does this work on a workstation?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think it is one of the things that we've heard from a lot of customers, right? And we did a lot of work around simplifying it. So in a nutshell, what we've done is we have a concept of traffic profile where we kind of differentiate traffic for you, right? Type of traffic based on internet access, based on private access, based on M365. So you can easily create definitions and profiles. The framework is quite simple. You create groups, you create assignments of applications, and you roll out something called as a policy. Our client is intelligent enough to detect what policy applies to what the end user, and it can simplify access to those applications. So create a policy, send it to the right set of users, and the client will take care of it. That's
Thank you,
simplified
Jeevan.
version.
Thank you. So I see the next question that says, I have Entra IDP2 and I'm an Entra IDP2 customer. Can I buy the Entra Suite? So the question is absolutely. Not only you can buy it, you should buy it. You shouldn't miss on the amazing things that Entra Suite is offering. And by Entra IDP2, we also obviously mean if you have M365 E5 or any type of E5 suite, of course, you can buy the Entra Suite product set, and definitely there will be a price for that because you have some of the capabilities of Entra Suite already if you have P2. Okay, so we have another question, and I think I will ask Martin. Martin, is the suite covering guest users?
Yeah, that's also a question we get quite a lot. So you have to remember that we created the suite for what we call your workforce or your employees. So this suite of products consisting of ID protection, ID governance, private access, internet access, and verified ID face check is for your employees. So you want to enable your employees to be secure. You want them to be productive with all of that features. It is not a suite that we created for guests, but those individual products do have different ways of how you would apply that functionality to guests. But the suite is a employee-only feature or employee-only licensing concept.
We have one more question about internet access this time, and it's if there is a way to override the web filter of internet access for a specific website, Jeevan.
Yes, I think the question is about web categorization, right? It's a very standard requirement for customers to override. So it is something which we'll support, and it is part of our offering as well.
Amazing. So if I already have Entra ID governance, can I get any additional value by buying the suite? Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of additional capabilities that come with Entra Suite. So if you haven't seen Entra ID governance, that's something we introduced last year that provides additional value add for identity governance scenarios beyond what we had in P1 and P2, like automatic assignment policies, extensibility, and of course, lifecycle workflows. With the Entra Suite, we're adding on these new capabilities as well, such as the private access and the internet access that we talked about as well. And we see there's a really powerful synergy between, for example, identity governance and private access because many organizations have a wide range of applications, modern SaaS applications, traditional on-premises applications. And so with Microsoft Entra ID governance, we can reach existing applications on-premises or in the cloud through single sign-on, through provisioning, but there'll always be some applications that they don't have any support for standards or any protocols or any database interface. What can we do to protect and control access to those? And that's where private access then helps the organization ensure that we have controls even for those applications without any APIs, without any interfaces at all. And then with internet access, of course, we can ensure that organizations can put in place appropriate controls for how their employees, how their users in their organization are working with outside resources. So this provides a very comprehensive breadth of control capabilities beyond what's already available with Entra ID governance.
And I just want to add that because we have those core capabilities in Entra ID governance, we added the ability to request and require verified IDs to request access, right? So this is how we can verify the person. But what if we actually want to verify the person behind the account sitting at the kiosk or desktop, right? So utilizing the newly announced face check of verified ID, tying that into your governance policies, you now have more assurance that the person requesting access is that person. So you can see the synergy that Mark talked about is being expanded with these new capabilities.
And we have, thank you, Jeff. And we have an additional question that is, I think it's a very good one. And it's important to know, and the question is, can we know what is included in P1 and P2 already, and what are all the extra functionalities that Entra should have in some place? And I will answer this. Definitely, there is this differentiation. This table exists in marketing sites, on the pricing side. It exists on our documentation. So hopefully soon we will share a few links. Let's say if you can go to ak.ms/pricing Entra, where you can see the pricing, but also you can see every functionality that is included already in P1, P2, and Entra Suite.
Yeah, and let me just add to that. The Entra Suite is an add-on to P1, so there's no overlap between Entra Suite and P1. You need P1 for the foundation of your security and making sure that you have all zero trust foundations implemented. And then you have to implement the suite on top of that. Now, P2 includes some functionality that is already available in the suite, and that includes products like ID protection. So ID protection is in P2 and it's in the suite. And then there's a subset of the functionality of ID governance, which Mark mentioned a little bit, that is already in P2. But if you need the full set of ID governance functionality that was released last year, then you will need the Microsoft Entra Suite.
Thank you, Martin. I have one more question for internet access that seems to be very popular, Jivan, and it's about the logging and web traffic. Are we going to get web traffic logging somewhere? And if yes, where?
Yeah, so by the way, there's another session following this session specifically on internet access, and you can also learn about like what we are bringing new on the internet access world. But logging is something that we are actually working on a lot of detail, right? So one of the advantages we have as a platform play is that you can combine a lot of details, right? Like based on the services, based on the platform, and you can provide some enriched logs for our admins to kind of look at what's going on, right? And we've standardized the approach, right? So what it means is if you're using the Entra platform, whether it's governance, whether it's Entra ID, you're familiar with the sign-in logs, you're familiar with the audit logs, you're familiar with our SIEM technologies like log analytics and stuff, right? So all those enriched logs show up in the same place, right? So you are literally, not carving out a new solution to figure out how to process the logs, right? It's the same familiar approach that you continue to work on.
And now I have a question for you, Jeff. It's about conditional access that is a part of identity protection, which is practically the central piece of Entra Suite that brings everything together and gives the powerful results that we are describing. So when it comes to conditional access policies, is there any change on the number of policies we can have? Any suggestions for naming conventions that we can offer to our audience here?
So great question. So as you called out, CA or conditional access is at the heart of a zero trust strategy, right? Policies that enforce controls and session settings. So today the maximum is 195, but really most customers, even the largest customers, aren't hitting that number. And here's why. Because policies should be think about scaling out for scenarios. I typically recommend customers start out with the conditional access templates that will give you that secure foundation before you start moving on to the sort of custom templates. So having that rich set of controls building on top of that, I don't think you're going to hit the limits that exist today. And as far as naming conventions, that is something up to every organization what works best for them. I highly recommend looking at the latest capability of targeting apps by app filtering, not by designating apps. This will allow you to scale and operationalize those CA policies.
Thank you so much. And I want also to recommend the ak.ms / deployment plans / conditional access CA, where you can find deployment plans and ideas on how you can deploy a very good conditional access strategy. Okay, I can see one more question for private access this time. And again, Jivan, this is for you. And I know that you can remind people one more time about the session that is following on these products. And does private access support hybrid join systems to process group policy and other functions that typically require long offsite to domain controllers?
I think that's a fantastic question. And again, I think you will hear more details about private access in the following session. And this is one of the scenarios that we actually heard from a lot of customers, right? We are truly supporting hybrid. What it means is we support devices, both Entra ID joined and hybrid Azure hybrid Entra ID joined as well. And we've published some guidance recently, specifically around applications requiring access to on-premises, like for Kerberos and LDAP, and that's a pattern that we're publishing as a scenario guidance. So answer is yes, and we will be actually having a public documentation on that soon as well.
Thank you, thank you. So I see one more question that seems to me a little bit more generic, but I will try to answer it. And it's about Microsoft Entra Suite, I guess, and what is included in this. And the question is about Azure Information Protection. So Microsoft Entra Suite includes 5 products, right? Entra ID Governance, Entra Private Access, Entra Internet Access, Entra Verified ID with face check, and Entra Identity Protection. So anything that is Azure, like Azure Information Protection, is not included in this suite. So there are other suites that include products related to information protection, but not the Entra Suite. The Entra Suite includes these 5 products that I just described.
Now, even though it's a separate suite, we do have a lot of synergies between these related product areas. So for example, we have integrations between Microsoft Entra Suite and our permissions management with Defender, with Purview. And so we see many organizations using Microsoft Entra Suite now alongside other capabilities such as Purview that they already have in place. So for example, they might use Microsoft Entra to help set up people, put them into the right groups, put them into the right teams, so that then they have access through the Purview capabilities to protected content. So this is one area where we see a lot of organizations are able to get value with the Entra Suite to then automate the process of giving people appropriate access through entitlement management, through access reviews, through just-in-time, that then other Microsoft products like Purview, like Azure, like Defender can then take advantage of, as well as, of course, many, many other third-party and your own on-premises and cloud apps as well.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Nasu, just a reminder, right? I think the Entra Suite is literally a platform play, right? And having Entra ID deployed, you've already deployed like half of the capabilities, and we don't want to restart the deployment processes, right? So we build on top of existing investments that you have made in the Microsoft ecosystem, whether it's Entra, whether it's Intune, whether it's Defender. So we kind of leverage all those investments to make your end user experience more secure and seamless. So
And I want to add to that, right? It's not only just the end user experience, but the operational and the admin experience, right? Organizations are looking at how do they scale out providing services to the business, and that includes learning, deploying, troubleshooting, operationalizing. That common control plane for authentication, authorization, and now network access is really a great interest to many customers.
Thank you all. And I have a question that, you might seem that it's included in the names of the products, but I think that it's very good to clarify that. And Jivan, that's for you. So is Entra Suite including products that are under the category of ZTNA and SSE and Zero Trust Network Access and Secure Solution Edge, Service Edge? So are these functionalities, this type of functionalities included in the Entra Suite, Jivan?
yeah, I think one of the goals for us was to simplify this for our customers, right? We've heard this feedback, and yes, the Entra Suite includes our ZTNA offering, which is a private access, our secure web gateway, which is internet access, and on top of it, like governance capabilities, right, which come from our governance product and the Verify ID. And like one thing that before we forget is the security protection. The P2 capabilities are also included as part of the Entra Suite. So we give you a choice. Like I said earlier, it's a platform play where we're trying to make sure that you don't have to manage 5 different consoles. Your existing investments should be reused, and you should be able to build on top of what you already have. Whether you're expanding coverage to new areas like network and network security, we want you to take advantage of the existing platforms there.
Thank you so much. So definitely we have this type of functionality in the suite. So the next question is about trials. If people want to try our product, they want to try Microsoft Entra Suite, do we have a trial available? Obviously, yes. But Martin, can you tell us more details?
Yeah, so we do have a trial available. You can go to aka.ms/Entra Suite trial to sign up for trial. This will give you a 90-day trial. And so we highly recommend that you create this in a developer or a test tenant. But this tenant or this trial is only going to be available for 90 days. So make sure that you have everybody lined up and you're ready to go, because you want to effectively use your 90 days to test all these products. And then once you are ready, you can go ahead and enable that trial in production when you want to be ready to buy. But so the trial is available, and if you have a trial today that's in your maybe you have a test tenant or you have a dev tenant, you can use that same code to enable the trial in that dev tenant, but keep in mind that it will only be for 90 days.
Perfect. And now I'm going to a private access question and securing access to on-premises applications, Jivan. And the person that asks the question understands that one need to deploy gateway device on-prem to funnel users through giving them access to an application only, or there is also a solution about horizontal movement between entities on the same network. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. And again, reminder that we have a private access deep dive session following this session today. And you'll hear about more capabilities. What I'm going to talk about here is that the answer is yes. We've thought about this problem about like, hey, how do we tackle traffic, which is flowing inside of network, right? How do you protect, traffic flowing from, let's say, your within your coordinate, right? When you're trying to access, let's say, a file server, a RDP session, and we'll probably have those details lined up in the next session. To answer the first question, the connector-based setup is definitely a reality, and the goal is to not tie you up to any proprietary hardware, right? We give you the flexibility to, scale horizontally, vertically, based on the type of apps, your location, the cloud service provider, right? And we give you options that you can bring the connector closer to any app that you might have, right? For mostly for remote access. Now we also have innovation that we're putting in. Like for example, you will see that in the Azure experience today, you have a connector as a service, right, where you can simply enable the connector and have your VNet traffic go through the connector. So a lot of innovations happening in this space. And being a true zero trust platform, we are not just thinking about remote access, but even what we call as local access. So highly recommend to go to the next session for the private access.
And I think to highlight really the kind of the benefit of synergy here is we have private access. No longer are we focused on a VPN, a network tunnel that get access to anything. We have the discrete network path to the apps, but how do we actually manage that access to these new applications? And that's exactly where Entra ID governance comes in. We have more app surfaces to control, so we have more things we actually want to assign and make sure it's the right access that a user should have. So that you could see how these complement each other for an overall solution.
I think excellent point, Jeff. Right. I think I couldn't tell you more. That's the number one question that we get asked is about the life cycle, right? It's not just the path to the app. It's also about how do you ensure the right users have access. How do you ensure that they have the right device, the right security stance, and then once the work is done, how do you ensure they are deprovisioned from the app? So I think that's a great call out that how this Entra Suite makes not just access a priority, but a whole secure access and making sure the right people have access to the right applications at the right time.
Perfect, thank you. We have a question that is related to licensing, and it's coming from one of our amazing partners. And they say that the question is, if we have a capability in Entra Suite, in order to get this functionality, to get this feature, to get the benefits of this feature, are we enforcing the licensing, or some people can buy one license and use the capability for everyone? So let's say this: if you want to do the right thing for every user who is protected from the Entra Suite capabilities, you need a license, obviously. There are some functionalities that with one license you unlock the capability for many others. So there's no way sometimes to enforce it. So we really hope that there will be no such abusive usage, and every customer who purchases Entra Suite should buy the number of licenses that are required. But there's no enforcement. I mean, it's almost impossible for some of the functionality.
Yeah, and we've also recently put out guidance for organizations that have multiple tenants, because one of the questions that we often get is, well, if I have more than one tenant in my organization, maybe I have a separate dev environment or I have subsidiaries, and I have one person, do I need to go and buy separate Entra licenses for each representation of Nasos across all the tenants, or can I just have one license for Nasos as a person? So that's one area that we have gotten a lot of questions on. We have added that to our tech community blog. And so if you have any questions, you can take a look at the blog or ask your Microsoft account team for clarification on that. But we do want to ensure that anyone that is in scope of, is using an Entra Suite capability, has an appropriate license accounted for them somewhere in your environment.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. So I have a roadmap question now about Global Secure Access Client, and Jivan, is you again. Do we have any plans to support Entra registered devices with Global Secure Access Client?
So the client space is very interesting, right? And we are getting a lot of use cases. Earlier, Martin was talking about that how our focus was to start with the enterprises and focus on the employee base, right? But as we're working with a lot of our customers and partners, right, and getting deployed across the world, we are getting extended use cases about do we support BYOD devices, right? Can we leverage a lot of the investments that Entra ID offers, including not just the Entra ID joint devices and hybrid joint devices, leveraging the registration, right? So it is part of our roadmap. And I think it's a good question to take you to the next session, the private access. But yes, we are exploring the use cases. We are looking at, security from a security perspective, like what use cases will it solve, and in which customer and partner scenarios are requiring and needing this kind of access. So yes, we are looking at this for sure.
Perfect. And I think we have come now to our final question. And Martin, this is for you. And the question I think makes sense is that, hey, I can only buy Entra Suite, or I can buy subsets of the products like governance and internet access and private access, or only internet access and private access. So Martin, what is our answer here?
So obviously, and you saw this in the presentation earlier, it is possible for you to buy these individual products. And so as we sold ID governance before, you can buy that. And if you look on our site, the pricing link that we showed earlier, you'll see that there's a per user per month cost for governance. And then if you're interested in internet access, there's another per user per month cost for that. And then if you look at private access, there's another per user per month cost for that. And all of those things add up. And you're going to get to the point where you say, hang on, it's actually cheaper for me to buy the suite because I get more functionality and I can combine functionality between these different products. I can use private access with governance and make sure that I govern the way that people access my private resources. The same with internet access. And you can unlock scenarios that you've never thought of before. And that's what we're trying to do here is we want to combine these functionalities to make it much easier for you to have a really secure environment. So yes, you can buy those individual products and the pricing is on that site. But you're going to quickly realize that buying them individually is sort of not the way to go because, who doesn't want to save money?
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your great questions. Martin, Jeff, Jeevan, Mark, thank you for your answers. And I hope to see you in our next session about internet access and private access. That starts soon. Thank you so much.